Car companies have used a few tricks of the trade to move the last of the line, and Audi is no different. Now, the German brand is about to replace its Halo R8 supercar, but instead of resorting to tricks like Cobra stripes, it's gone one better and put laser beams on it. The R8 LMX has laser beams for headlights. It is the latest technical innovation from the German car maker, derived directly from its dominant Le Mans winning sports car program and the key feature to the limited edition. For those technically minded out there, it works like this. The fully LED headlamps are supported by a single module that contains 4 high-powered laser diodes, which generate a blue laser beam of just 450 nanometers. The beam is passed through a phosphorus converter that transforms it into white light with a colour temperature of 5,500 Kelvin. In layman's terms, it is essentially very, very bright high beams that enhances visibility at night and which Audi claims reduces fatigue. At the moment, they come with a pretty hefty price tag too, as the R8 LMS costs $440,000 plus on-road costs. Audi will only build 99 of these around the world, and just 3 of them will come to Australia. Now, being based on the already flagship V10 Plus, the LMX has a few more party tricks up its sleeve, including carbon brakes, exclusive interior and exterior highlights, and, more importantly, more power from its mid-mounted 5.2 litre V10. The engine has been tweaked to produce 419 kilowatts, up from 404, while maximum torque remains capped at 540 newton metres. And there's no change to its claimed fuel consumption, which stands at 12.9 litres per 100 k's. That extra power isn't noticeable in everyday use, but when you really wind this thing up, it absolutely sings. The engine is an absolute cracker with this sewing machine-like power delivery, and it's just beautiful in the way that it drives. Effortlessly cruises along quite quietly at highway speeds, but then, listen to this. Hooked up to a rear-biased all-wheel drive transmission via a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic, the R8 LMX can accelerate from 0 to 100 km an hour in just 3.4 seconds, before maxing out at 320 k's. Being mid-engined and with all-wheel drive, this car has plenty of grip, but it's also quite livable in day-to-day use. The cabin is relatively spacious for a mid-engine supercar, but it is starting to show its age in terms of the instrumentation, which is a generation behind the latest from Audi, and also the multimedia screen is quite small and doesn't have some of the functions of the later models. But in terms of usability, the Audi R8 is actually quite practical. There's a fair bit of space behind the seats for small bags, and there's a decent size front trunk, or frunk, for a couple of day bags. Vision is also exceptional for a mid-engine supercar like this as well. There's a clear view out the front and reasonable rear vision across that small windscreen. The way it rides is pretty exemplary for this kind of car. It's obviously quite sporty in its pretensions, but it soaks up the bumps relatively well. The steering is super responsive, but also quite manoeuvrable around town. What is the key to extracting the best from this car at both ends of the driving spectrum is, like the V10 Plus, it now has a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox, rather than the robotised manual that's in the predecessor. And that not only makes it really smooth and effortless to drive around town, but it literally whip cracks through the gears when you're up it for the rent. While this is undoubtedly an epic supercar, one thing that can't be ignored, however, is its price. It's $32,000 more than the already extravagant V10 Plus. That puts it in some pretty rarefied air, right up there against the Ferrari 458 Italia and its sister car, the brand new Lamborghini Huracan. At the end of the day, the LMX is an amazingly capable supercar with a character all of its own. But with an all-new R8 due to arrive in showrooms before the end of the year, its rarity is likely to be more valuable than the laser lights themselves. Sure, they work, but only in the black of the night, and you're unlikely to see too many R8s dodging wallabies across the Nullarbor. However, with Audi planning to cascade the technology down through the rest of the passenger car range, at the moment it is more of a technological marker in the sand.